Hi everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back to my channel if you're a returning viewer or subscriber. In today's video I'm going to be talking about all the books that I own but I haven't read that fall within the classics genre, or the classics classification. I don't really know what you call it, but either way, classics, that's what we're focusing on today. Last year I filmed a video where I ran through my entire classics collection. I have bookshelves out in the corridor that house my classics collection. I also have ones downstairs now because things have all switched around. I didn't actually tell you much about how many of those I'd read and how many I hadn't. But then last year I also filmed a video where I ran through my entire physical TBR, which was every single genre, and we found out how many books I own that I have not read yet, and it was a scary number. I think it was 160 something. I know, you don't need to tell me. And then since I've done that video, I've taken each genre and I've been kind of running through them in a little series. So we've done romance books, we've done literary fiction books, we've done historical fiction books, translated fiction, all the things, but we haven't yet done classics, so that's what today's video is going to be. So I thought I'd run through this kind of enormous pile that I have with me on the floor, and I talk a little bit about, you know, what the title is, who the author is and whatever, but also what I'm feeling about the book and why I picked it up or when I think I'll get to it, any sort of little details like that. So if you enjoyed the video along the way, please give it a thumbs up to let me know you did, and without further ado, let's just get going. There is quite a large pile to be getting through today. By the way, it's a classic spring day where the sun is going in and out, so bear with me on the lighting. I thought that the first stack we would start with, this is quite large, are books that I have, it's kind of difficult to explain, either books I'm in the middle of or books that contain multiple stories but I've read like one of the stories in them. So like these are partially finished books basically. The first two are ones I'm currently reading. We have Despair by Vladimir Nabokov. Loving this so much, but I need to get it done. I just am procrastinating. I'm filming like a kind of reading vlog for this book. And I'm putting it off because I want it to be good basically. I've read Lolita by Nabokov and I think he's a fantastic writer. I'm not going to get into Lolita. I'm not going to start defending Lolita, but yeah, reading this, loving it, and I just love modern classics, so I'm very much enjoying this. And then the other book that I'm in the middle of, and I shall be in the middle of for a little while longer, is Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. I am about 200 pages into this one and very much enjoying, I'm again filming a one book focused reading vlog on this one, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already if you want to stick around and see how I find this book by the end of it. So far I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. I've got some more Penguin Modern classics. We have this bind up of Bonjour Tristesse and A Certain Smile by Françoise Sagan. I've read Bonjour Tristesse, I read that last year, again in a reading vlog which I can have linked and also down below because I'm sure I'll be linking a bunch of videos. But I haven't read A Certain Smile. That's actually on my 2024 TBR, so I'm hoping to get to it this summer. Loved Bonjour Tristesse and I can't wait to read more of Sagan's work. Another one where I've read one of the stories within it. This is A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote, which contains 5 of his short stories, all set around the kind of festive season. I've read A Christmas Memory, it's the like titular story, but I'm yet to get to the others. I might pick them all up this coming Christmas. I have a couple of vintage, no, one of these Oxford World Classics. I've got The Importance of Being Earnest and Other Plays by Oscar Wilde. I have read The Importance of Being Earnest, but I haven't read the other plays. Very excited to do so because I thoroughly enjoyed The Importance of Being Earnest. I studied this one and I really loved every single second. And then I've also got Oscar Wilde's The Complete Short Stories. I've read several stories in this, but there are quite a few. Oh my gosh, there's tons. There's literally tons of them. So I've only read a little handful of them, but again, very much enjoying. I think he's, you know, not a hot take, but I think he's a fantastic author. Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Carroll. I've read Alice in Wonderland, but I'm yet to read Through the Looking Glass. I liked Alice in Wonderland, but wasn't my favourite thing ever. Marrying Off Mother and Other Stories by Gerald Durrell. I read this one and then I stopped halfway through. I do not know why, but I read it at the beach, which is the reason why it's quite water damage there, but I just need to like basically start this one over again. And then finally for this category we have the complete works of Sherlock Holmes. This is one of the beautiful Barnes & Noble leather-bound classics, one of the most beautiful books I own for sure, and I've read a number of the stories in here, but again there are just so many to get through and this book is just, she's massive. I've got a long way to go, but I really love being able to kind of dip into these stories every so often whenever I'm in the mood for them. Everything else on this list are books that I am yet to even open to the first page. I think I'm going to go through my like collections of classics because I've got a big stack of Penguin Modern classics. I've got the rest of my Russia classics, things like that, so we'll start there. So we have a number of Penguin Modern classics. I pick these up frequently because like I said, I generally get on with books written during that time. Really love collecting these. I think they look lovely together. I frequently find them in the charity shop and places like that, so I'm very excited to have a little collection of them I haven't yet read. We have Brideshead Revisited by Evan and War. Really fun picture there on the cover. I really adore Fitzgerald's work, as you'll see from the back of his stuff within this pile, because I've already read it, and I'm told that if you like that sort of writing and that sort of work written about that era and things like that, then you should really enjoy Brideshead Revisited. Set between wars, it's about a rich family, I think, sounds like it should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to read this. I think I could really enjoy it. On the other hand though, I do have A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole, which was a gift from someone who actually bought it for themselves and decided they didn't want it. Since reading the back of it, I'm kind of less interested in it, which is kind of funny. So I might not ever end up getting to this one, but for now it's just happily sitting on my shelf downstairs. This is another gift from that same person, Hangover Square by Patrick Hamilton. I'm so excited for this. This sounds brilliant. Not one that I ever kind of had heard about before being gifted it. It says it's set in 1939. It says it's a darkly comic kind of like mystery book. I think it sounds amazing. A masterly novel, you can almost smell the gin. This could be great too. Again, I'm not sure when I'm going to pick it up, but I think that when I do, it could be brilliant. The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is the final Fitzgerald novel that I own but haven't read yet. I've read a bunch of his work. I haven't read this one. I haven't read Flappers and Philosophers, and I also haven't read his short stories, but this is the major novel that I really want to pick up soon. Kind of unacceptable that I haven't got to it yet, being a Fitzgerald fan. But I'm going to read this one for a video, so you'll see a reading vlog coming for this one over, I'd say, the next year, I'm thinking. But a couple, Anthony and Gloria, who are just living it up in Jazz Age New York, and kind of like their rise and downfall and all that. But very excited. I have another Truman Capote book. This one is a novel though. This is Summer Crossing. I've read Breakfast at Tiffany's, so I very much enjoyed it, so I'm excited to read more of his work. And actually this quote says this was the lost novel that inspired Breakfast at Tiffany's. I do remember this actually. This is like the groundwork for what that then went on to be. I've just moved this little bunny because I realized it was like kind of peeking up over my head the entire time and it looked a little weird. This is definitely on my summer TBR. Something that was on my winter TBR that I didn't actually end up getting to in the end was Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata. This one is about this man who travels to the mountains into the snow and he meets a woman there. I just think it's going to be a really beautiful story. Like the description just brings me to tears. Both delicate and subtle, reflecting in his exact lyrical writing the unspoken love and understated passion of a young Japanese couple. It just won the Nobel Prize in Literature as well. Brilliant. But I think I'm going to save this for the colder months. The one Austen that I own that I haven't read is Mansfield Park. This is one of the vintage Jane Austen editions. I read 2 books in this. I've read Sense and Sensibility and Northanger Abbey. I've also read 50% of Emma back in the day, and I read Pride and Prejudice in school. So I'm slowly kind of making my way through Austen's novels. Water Break. This is meant to be a favourite for people. One of my mum's favourites for sure, maybe even her favourite one. The only thing that slightly puts me off is that it's very thick. It's very, very long. Seeing as I've just come out of reading Northanger Abbey like a couple of months ago, I want to leave a little bit of a gap before picking this one up. But I'm sure that it will be a fun time. Fanny Price's rich relatives offer her a place in their home so that she can be properly brought up. However, her childhood is a lonely one. Her only ally is her cousin Edmund. When her cousin befriends 2 glamorous new young people who have arrived in the area, Henry and Mary, Edmund starts to grow close to Mary and Fanny finds herself dealing with the feelings she has never experienced before. And then, as I hinted at earlier, I have a number of Russian classics in the same edition as Anna Karenina. So we of course have the Mammoth, that is War and Peace. Yes. Moving on. I have Crime and Punishment. I'm very, very excited for this. I was debating picking this one up before Anna Karenina, but I don't know, I just went with my gut and I chose Anna Karenina. This might be it probably will be my second kind of major Russian classic. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. I'm excited to try Dostoevsky. I have a feeling that I'm really, really going to love him. I don't know, I just feel drawn to him. Does that make sense? I feel like every single time there's been like a tie between me and some book or some author when I have picked up that book or a work of writing from the author, I have indeed loved it. I don't know, I just think this could be really good. Or his work in general. And then finally I have Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman, who lots of people hadn't heard of. I don't know what they said. The 20th Century War and Peace. That's the way it's kind of like pitched. Why do people have memories? It would be easier to die. Anything to stop remembering. That whole thing of like the 20th Century War and Peace is very impressive. But I think I will read this one last in terms of the Russian classics I currently own. Okay, now we're going to move on to books that are just randomly spread out on my floor. As many books that I could find on my shelves that are classed as classics. There are some books that I was kind of on the fence about, and there's some that I don't know that I have decided to skip out, but most of those will have been mentioned in my original classics collection. Some of these are new additions since that video. 99% of the classics on my shelves are definitely included in this video. So don't feel like you're missing out on anything. We of course have The Hobbit by J.R. Tolkien. I'm yet to read this. I'm also yet to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I just recently bought that on Audible so I can have the audiobooks of them. I feel like I need the perfect time to pick it up, but it will come along, I'm sure. It's kind of like a spring book. Maybe I'll pick it up for spring. We'll see. We'll see what I have time for, but I'm very, very excited. It's definitely one that I need to kind of tick off the list sooner rather than later. I have a collection of Fitzgerald's short stories. It's called I Die For You and Other Lost Stories. This was a birthday gift a couple of years ago, and I want to get to The Beautiful and Damned probably before I pick this one up. You know, that's a higher priority than this one, but I'm so excited to have more Fitzgerald to get through. This will be amazing, I'm sure. Related to that, we have Save Me the Waltz by Zelda Fitzgerald. This is her one and only novel, I believe. No one talks about this, you know, but I found this lovely edition in a little independent bookstore in Aldborough, the Aldborough bookshop. Highly recommend if you're in the area. It's my favourite little independent. I couldn't pass it up. I think this is beautiful, this edition, and I'm so excited to read Zelda's writing, what she can actually fully claim as her own. I'm very intrigued to see how I find this book, being such a big fan of Fitzgerald's writing. Dracula by Bram Stoker. I started the audiobook of this one last year and I didn't get to it in the end. The reason why I didn't get to the audiobook is because I wanted to read it physically, but I'm going to read this one hopefully in October. This is again on my 2024 TBR. I have this beautiful Penguin Classics Deluxe edition, the deckled edges and these incredible French flaps. A really beautiful little edition of Heidi from 1964. It's very battered up with these beautiful worn pages. This smells glorious. It smells like caramel. In general, I don't really understand people saying how much they love the smell of books, but this one is just everything and more to me. First printed in 1963. Lovely. Another kind of charity shop purchase, we have William Shakespeare's The Sonnets and Narrative Poems, which actually I should have mentioned at the beginning of this video because I've read a couple of the sonnets in here. Such a lovely thing to own, so wonderful, and I love these Everyman's Library kind of like hardcover classics. I take the dust jacket off for you. It's got this most amazing spine, and I can't wait to kind of annotate this one over the years and dissect his work because I think that is very necessary with Shakespeare. This is my most recent addition to my book collection, not just to the classics collection. Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. I found it in the charity shop. I love these editions. This is the Collins Modern Classics. They have these really fun ones. I have actually here The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion in the same edition. They're so cool. I don't know a great deal about this, and in general I'm not keen on just picking up books that I don't really know anything about. I want to be picking up the ones that I'm excited to read. I saw it in this edition and I was like, it could be great. And I read the back in the charity shop, and again, it kind of convinced me to pick it up. Party in South America, interrupted when a band of terrorists storm the building and take the guests hostage. As this group of unlikely strangers are forced together, the lines between captor and captive blur. Barriers of culture and language are broken, and what began as a moment of horror soon unfolds into new bonds of allegiance, friendship and love. An ode to the beauty of shared humanity and a triumph of modern literature. Generous, fearless and startlingly wise. She sang as if she was saving the life of every person in the room. I'm intrigued. I'm told that The Book Thief is a modern classic, historical fiction, 1939 Nazi Germany. It's narrated by death. That's the kind of really interesting part about the novel. I don't know how I'm gonna find this, but I think it could break my heart, which we love. This book puts me off because it's so thick, but I just looked at it then and it's got very big font. Is it YA? I don't know. When I finally get around to it, I think I'll have a good time. I forgot that I owned this. This is the last Fitzgerald we have to mention. This is On Booze, and it's a collection of all of his writing, or a lot of his writing that discusses drink and parties. On Booze gathers debutantes and dandies, rowdy jazz musicians, lost children and ragtime riffraff into a newly compiled collection taken from the Crack Up and Other Works. Portrays the jazz age as Fitzgerald experienced it, roaring, rambunctious and lush, with quite the hangover. I just love this edition of it, and anything Fitzgerald, I'm sold. Although probably most of his writing is in that short story collection. Either way, I couldn't pass it up, so I do own that. We have 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I bought this one in New York 2022. It's actually in my spring TBR for this year, but I don't want to pick this up until I finish Anna Karenina. This one is complex and I think that would just be a bit much. So I will get to this eventually, but I'm not sure when. It will depend on how quickly I get through Anna Karenina. It's so crazy to me how so many people struggle with it when it's only like 400 pages. I'm really interested to see how I find it, and a little bit scared too. I have a receipt in here for Whole Foods. Sourdough ball. Interesting. And then along with that I have Love in the Time of Cholera by the same author, again in the Everman's Library hardcover edition. Amazing. I found this in the charity shop a number of years ago, but I've always felt that I want to read 100 Years of Solitude before this novel, so as soon as I've read that, then I can kind of bump this up my TBR. The stack I have on this chair is about to fall over. I read Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier last year and I thoroughly enjoyed it, so I have a couple more of her work that I'm more than excited to get to. I might pick one of these up this summer, we'll see what I do. But I have Jamaica Inn and I have The Scapegoat. This one is like very much her more famous one, and I found this one in the charity shop and I saw that it was a du Maurier and it was an edition that I collect them in. But it's about a man who meets his double and then his double steals his identity, so he has to like assume his double's identity. Kind of interesting, very interesting, and also kind of reminiscent of the plot of Despair, because that's again about a man meeting his doppelganger, how his situation kind of spirals from there. Very, very excited to read more of Mario. I definitely get along with her writing style. I read Rebecca in school and I didn't love it, but I was also 13, so that could definitely have played into it, and I'm very keen to reread that at some point. This is another kind of more recent purchase. I bought this one this year. This is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in this lovely edition from Harper Muse. Obviously I've never read Frankenstein, as you can tell from this video, but it's definitely about time that I did, so this I feel like is going to be added to my TBR for the year. Probably read Dracula and then I might get to this one. Or do I read this one first? I don't know, but I'm absolutely certain I'm gonna love this. We have the most beautiful, perfect edition of A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. This is my pride and joy, my most kind of treasured charity shop find to date. This is my dream edition. I've had my eye on it for so long, and it's kind of a pain to get because you can only basically get it second hand, and it's a white cover. If you order it online, it might turn out really dirty and damaged. Look at this. This is perfection to me. Where it's like written in the corners and then this massive orange. I don't even care if I dislike this book. This edition is staying in my life forever. It's wonderful. I think it's the most beautiful thing. Oh. I literally could feel the, like, what is it, serotonin? Is that it? Like coursing through my veins as I look at this book. That's when you know. That's when you know. Aside from that, I'm very, very close to someone in my life who loves this. So I'm excited to read it just for them. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, another stunning edition. This is from Faber. They do these kind of special edition hardcovers and they're just wonderful. Again, yet to read The Bell Jar. I feel like this is a bit of a crime. I'm putting it off a little bit because in my own life I have gone through periods of depression, and when you're in that you don't really fancy reading about it. There are moments definitely where you can kind of lean into something where someone's experiencing what you're experiencing for comfort, but there are also moments you want to be surrounding yourself with other things, and when I was going through that period of my life I definitely wanted to be surrounded by other things. So I never got to The Bell Jar, but at some point in my life I will definitely pick it up and see how I find it. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. A little kind of middle grade classic, we have The Animals of Farthing Wood by Colin Dan. I have this really funny little edition. I used to watch the film adaptation of this a lot when I was little. I loved it. So I definitely want to kind of, you know, read this even just once and then pass it on to the charity shop or something. Being able to consume the story by the written word as well as just digitally or visually, so we'll see how I find this. Also, just realised this edition has the most beautiful little illustrations. So cute. Delay of Marie de France by Marie de France, you guessed it. Late 12th century, the earliest known woman poet. Obviously Sappho, so no, not the woman poet. Earliest known French woman poet, and it's about her stories in verse based on Breton tales of chivalry and romance. So excited with this. I saw it in the charity shop and I just couldn't pass it up. I love poetry and I love anything set in like this very early kind of medieval era. Incredible picture there of her on the front. That portrait was made in 1280. Okay, I think we're just gonna head on with the Black Spine, Penguin Black Spine classics because I've got a couple more of those. By the way, the video is close to its end. We're almost done. Okay, I have Ovid's Metamorphosis. Incredible cover. This Bernini sculpture at the front there. Apollo and Daphne, 1622. You can see that in Rome. Love that. This is Ovid's complete, what's the word? It's a poem, but what is it? It's like a long, what is a long poem called? Okay, my memory card is filling up, so I feel like I need to just not be dwelling on that anymore. Ovid tells the story of the Roman myths in their entirety, basically the major ones. Had to happen at some point, didn't it? The stack I have on this chair is about to fall over. The entire stack of books fell on the ground and now they're all damaging each other. But I think I'm just gonna leave that for now. This I found and I think I'm going to love. I've heard so many beautiful quotes from it and I'm very excited to finally get to it at some point. That was incredibly dramatic. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I had a friend on YouTube who actually very sadly passed away. She loved this book and she convinced me to pick it up. And she passed away in the time since I've owned this, and I feel like it's gonna make the reading experience very emotional. Considering doing a reading vlog for this, it's such a renowned novel and such a challenging one as well, but I thought I could also kind of make that a little kind of ode to her love for books and things like that, kind of the impact she had while she was on YouTube. That will be in the works at some point when I can face the mammoth beast that is Moby Dick. A little Oxford World classic, we have The Golden Ass by this author whose name I do not know how to pronounce. I try every time and I fail miserably. This contains the story of Cupid and Psyche, who are my two favourite characters within Greek and Roman mythology. I got given this for my birthday a number of years ago from my friend Sarah. I haven't read it yet. But I will, I promise you. Okay, we have two final books to get through. We have Goodbye to Berlin by Christopher Isherwood. It's my first Isherwood. It will be my first Isherwood. It's set in the 1930s and it's about, again, that gap between World War I and World War II. It's set in Germany, which I thought was really fascinating. I haven't read anything about that period of time in Germany because you can just imagine the absolute chaos of it. This incredible quote, I always read it, but I always have to. Reading this novel is much like overhearing anecdotes in a crowded bar while history knocks impatiently at the windows. Sign me up. And then finally, we have this tiny little penguin. What are these called? Little Black Classics. Number 93. I've read one of these already. It was Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke. Loved it. But we've got A Modern Detective by Edgar Allan Poe. Someone in my life bought this for themselves and then it turned up damaged. They bought it on Amazon and Amazon, you know, classic. They were like, okay, here's another one for free. Don't send the other one back. She gave me the damaged one. So it's very slightly just like bent up in the corner. I really don't care at all. And I'm excited to read some Edgar Allan Poe because I'm yet to read any of his work that's longer than a poem. That's it. I love classics. They are the most satisfying, beautiful books to read and to get through and to achieve and to, I was gonna say endure, but like, they live on beyond the reading experience, which is magical. And I'm so excited to own so many of them and to have so much choice. Whenever I'm in the mood for one, I have so much range to pick from. All of these I'm excited to read, other than that one that I mentioned earlier, which I do not remember what it was. Oh, Confederacy of Dunces. But everything else. If you enjoyed the video, like I said at the beginning of it, make sure to give it a thumbs up to let me know you did. Subscribe if you want to stick around and see me get some of these books, finish various reading vlogs, begin reading vlogs, because I do plan on doing a lot of individual one book focused reading vlogs for many of the books that I featured here. I know this has been a long video, so without further ado, I'll leave you in peace. And if you decide to stick around, I'll see you next time in a couple of days for another video, because I post every single Wednesday and Saturday. It's busy around here, but we have a good time. Okay, bye bye.